Hello and welcome. My name is Ayana Lahi, and I am so very happy that you are here with all of us today. In this episode of Light Mastery Academy, we are diving into the theme, finding your authentic true self. In the Spirit Gateways Institute, the process, the journey is laid out in all of the different mentoring and training programs. And in this time together, I'd like to share with you the beginning point of finding your authentic true self. First of all, what do I mean by true self? Well, I'm going to go back to when I was 14 and the startling, jolting awakening I had standing in a bookstore in New York City, reading about the true self and feeling like I wanted that. And I didn't know what it really meant, but I had a feeling about it. And I was determined to somehow find what this really meant and what this was really all about. Have you ever had the feeling when you're in a conversation or you're standing in a group of people that you just were uneasy, or you felt maybe that what you had to say wasn't really relevant, or maybe you were beginning to self-doubt yourself and you possibly didn't know what to say, and around you the conversation was engaged with opinions or laughing at or doing a superficial run over of a situation, a circumstance in life that you didn't maybe understand but felt more intense, and you didn't know how to respond in that moment. So you say something or you stay silent. And where you come from in that staying silent or saying something is either connected to your deep desire to know your own true self, or you are saying something that comes from being in the false self, the ego self, which runs, its operating system is based upon meeting other people's expectations, avoiding judgments, being in control, being in charge, feeling as though that it can get the recognition that it needs and that it's doing a good job. And so the ego doesn't really have morals. The ego part just wants to do a good job doing what the true self in you originally created for you, the ego self, to fulfill. The true self in our world global culture doesn't really feel supported. It doesn't feel that it has a place. The true self within us is trained to give itself over to that ego mindset, the ego operating system, which we find in almost all avenues of life: social behavior, social media, expectations that are put upon us that we can't fulfill or that we self-doubt about, grow and build the false self, the ego self. Where I'm coming from is the training to awaken and to ignite your true self into action. And that is what the Spirit Gateways Institute trainings and programs, the mentoring, the group and the individual mentorings are all about, so that you can come through the veils in yourself, meaning those invisible places, those barriers that are blocking your authentic true self. Your life takes off your relationships, business, your career path, your health. Everything shifts when you come through the unauthentic self. To open into your authentic true self, you want to start with the self-inquiry of what am I feeling? What do I feel? And that will guide you into the who am I? But what am I feeling? And to really be honest with what you are feeling. Your feelings are not who you are. Your feelings do not give you the right to put your feelings, reactionary feelings, onto someone else. They are inside of your treasure chest. They are there to open. Get out your inner binoculars that come from your heart and look to see what those feelings really are and how they came into being. As you move through your feelings without identifying, oh, this is who I am, but no, this is what I felt and this is what I feel, and being able to hold those feelings in your inner container, which I go into in another Light Mastery Academy that you can find here online, you discover how you really function. Do you not want to feel or see what's really going on inside of you? Well, why not? What did you have to avoid? What were you terrified to see? You would have had to recognize the inabilities that were there perhaps in your parenting structure from your parents, perhaps unexpressed anger and or rage that happened in the family structure, brokenheartedness, what you took on, what you had to become, who you had to be in order to meet your own expectations and also the expectations and judgments that are on the outside. It's so easy to live in an internal operating system where you make the false self king or queen, where you can grow into your ego self. You can even use your spiritual consciousness to build the false self. As soon as you're identifying yourself with any state of awareness, you are stepping out of the true self and identifying yourself with the false, I'll say it's a false self. Your authenticity comes through a very raw experience. It comes through the stripping away of the veils, the defenses, the blockades that you have that keep you feeling safe. Your inner safety is what is predominant. How you feel safe in yourself creates your relationship with your true self. You're having to make it safe to be connecting to your true self that's under the feelings, that's been held up, that's been locked up. And you are there from your heart, whether you're journaling and you're writing, or you're speaking into your cell phone and recording your deepest truth about who is underneath those feelings, holding and embracing, bringing in that truth inside of yourself. When I first started doing this over 45 years ago, I would sob in the reclaiming process of me and how incredible it would feel, but filled in grief too, because of the training I had to give away my connection to my true self. We each have our own way of coming back to ourself. I had to pierce the veils of frozen consciousness around me to enter into giving myself expression. I had to move through the ways I had even perfected parts of me. I had to break through the ballet modern dancer perfectionism. I had to break through the girl raised to be a woman who had to perfectly fulfill everybody else's needs. Those are just a couple of examples of how we block and create a wall to who we truly are. And sometimes through facing our deepest grief and despair, we experience the twinkling, the flickering light of our true self, because our authentic true self is already awakened. What that means is that you are already that spark of pure consciousness, of pure light that is one with the source of God, creation, all that is, the universal, infinite source. How we relate to that infinite source is what Spirit Gateways teaches and unveils, so that we're living in a new psychological and emotional, soul-filled model that is your unique model that the Spirit Gateways Institute Liberation Roadmap gives you to unveil and discover your authentic true self. So during the course of your day, give yourself that moment, that one moment. Maybe you're engaged in a meeting. Maybe you're listening to a conversation. Maybe you're working on a paper. Maybe you're getting ready to have a conversation that is important. Maybe you're making dinner for your family, for yourself, for your partner or friends. And you go through the feelings and you go through the chatter in your mind. You know how your mind is always thinking about things? And you decide that you're going to find out what is underneath that chatter. And it's almost a moment of disbelief, breaking out of that, oh, my mind is going. What is this thought really connected to? What am I afraid of? What am I anxious about? What am I yearning for? And you'll recognize certain patterns that are repeating themselves in your life. It might be anxiety. You might go, okay, I've got some anxiety. I need to up my B vitamins. You know what you're feeling. You can take care of yourself in a whole new way. You can show up and not be the effect of being disconnected from the true self, which is connected really into the truth source. There is a source of oneness that really exists. That's how this whole world works together. And please do not allow all of the external commotion and the devastation that's happening in our world take you away from that source of oneness that really is inside of you. You are connected to the oneness where everything is connected. Your deepest divine intelligence of your true self is always connected to the whole. You can always see through disconnection reality, thinking processes, words that are coming from a fragmentation from the separate self, what we can call the ego self, that ego operating system that is full of its own perceptions and yet disconnected, very disconnected to the source, the real source that is inside, really inside ourself. Your body is an amazing creation and design of true perfection. It is divinely, perfectly connected to the source. And our imperfections are the ways that we stay disconnected and ignoring and denying and separating from that deeper source of wisdom that is inside of each and every one of you. Thank you so very much for being here and joining all of us today. And I look forward to spending more time with you and continuing the Spirit Gateway's 21st Century Liberation Roadmap adventure together. Thank you. Much love to you all.